Tonight, breaking news, President Trump's warning to Iran now. And late today, the president meeting in the Situation Room for more than an hour. What is the U.S. now considering? Also breaking at this hour, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem rushed to the hospital. And in New York City, the mayoral candidate handcuffed by ICE. The dramatic scene tonight. First this evening, President Trump's ultimatum to Iran now, calling for unconditional surrender. The president abruptly leaving the G7 summit, returning to the White House. Late today, the president and his national security team in the Situation Room for more than an hour. The president threatening Iran's supreme leader, saying we know where he's hiding and calling him an easy target. Amid growing questions at this hour, what is the U.S. now considering? Also breaking tonight, we have learned a short time ago, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem has been rushed to the hospital in Washington, what we've learned. In New York City, the dramatic scene, ICE agents detaining a mayoral candidate, handcuffing him and taking him away. Tonight, 100 million Americans under severe weather alerts, tornadoes already, the tornado watch right now in multiple states, and the severe thunderstorm watches as well, the middle of the country and then right into the Northeast. Ginger Z standing by with the forecast. Tonight, we have new reporting here on the suspect who police say showed up at the door, authorities say in a realistic latex mask disguised as an officer, targeting lawmakers. Alleged gunman Vance Bolter, a husband and father, and what we now know. And tonight here, the Utah senator deleting posts after what he said after those lawmakers were targeted and shot. Tonight in Boston, the questions from the jury during deliberations in the Karen Reed murder trial, accused of killing her Boston police officer boyfriend. What their questions could signal in this trial. Tonight, Kraft Heinz and the changes coming to some of the foods you know, the company known for its famous Jell-O and Kool-Aid, among others. Disturbing images, police searching for a hit-and-run driver, plowing through a crowd of protesters. Tonight, just in here, remembering a beloved host from the Food Network. And tonight, the news involving Tom Cruise and Dolly Parton. A moment long overdue.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening. We begin tonight with President Trump late today spending more than an hour in the Situation Room with his national security team. President Trump has called for Iran's unconditional surrender amid this growing conflict with Israel. The president saying the U.S. knows where Iran's supreme leader is hiding, but that he doesn't want him to be killed, quote, for now. Members of the president's national security team seen leaving the White House after that meeting this afternoon in the Situation Room. The president returning abruptly last night from the G7 summit in Canada so he could, according to the White House, attend to many important matters. President Trump posted a warning to the 10 million people of Iran's capital saying, quote, everyone should immediately evacuate Tehran with no further explanation. Traffic you can see right there backed up for miles. Tonight, the two sides continuing to trade attacks, Israel releasing video of what they say is their pilots tracking mobile missile launchers through the streets of Iran, taking them out. And tonight, Iran sending missiles just moments ago into Israel. There are growing questions at this hour. What is President Trump, what is the U.S. now considering? ABC's chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce leading us off tonight.
Tonight, as Israeli missiles find their targets in Iran, President Trump with this demand to the Iranian regime, unconditional surrender. Adding this threat, we know exactly where the so-called supreme leader is hiding. He is an easy target, but is safe there. We are not going to take him out, kill, at least not for now, saying our patience is wearing thin. Trump has been urging Iran to negotiate a nuclear deal, but now...
They should have done the deal. I told them, do the deal. So I don't know, I'm not too much in a mood to negotiate now.
Tonight, Iran's supreme leader posting ominously, the battle begins. As Iranian missiles continue to fall on Israel. Our Ian Panel in Tel Aviv.
We just heard the first sound there of an intercept, so we're going to have to disappear. But this is another round of Iranian strikes on Israel.
The Iranian army's commander saying the operations carried out so far have merely been warnings for deterrence, and a punitive operation will be executed soon. Israel releasing this video claiming to show Israeli fighter jets tracking Iranian mobile missile launchers through the streets of Tehran before blowing them up. In Tehran, terrified residents racing to escape, traffic gridlocked and long gas lines after Trump posted this warning, saying everyone should immediately evacuate Tehran with no further explanation. The president today meeting with his national security team in the Situation Room as Israel ups the pressure on the U.S. to intervene militarily to destroy Iran's nuclear program. Only the U.S. has the 30,000-pound bunker buster bomb, capable of reaching Iran's deeply buried nuclear site. Trump now weighing his options, saying he's looking for something, quote, better than a ceasefire.
What specifically is better than a ceasefire? What are you looking for here?
An end. A real end, not a ceasefire. An end.
So something that would be permanent.
Or giving up entirely. That's okay, too.
All right, so let's get right to Mary Bruce. She's live at the White House tonight. Mary, tonight, obviously, Israel targeting Iran. Iran now retaliating at this hour. The big question this evening with what President Trump said about the supreme leader and President Trump's warning for the people of Tehran to evacuate. The obvious question, if and when the U.S. could play a more direct role in this conflict.
And David, as we are seeing these images of Israeli strikes in Iran, I've just learned that President Trump spoke with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu earlier today as the U.S. military is already moving warplanes and assets to the region, if needed, to defend American personnel. And that big question now weighing on the president tonight, whether to push for negotiations or join Israel's campaign and bomb Iran. David.
Mary Bruce will be following this into the evening here. Mary, thank you. Now to that breaking news involving Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, rushed to the hospital by ambulance in Washington, D.C. today. Let's bring in our Chief Justice correspondent, Pierre Thomas. Pierre, what have you learned?
David, Secretary Noem was transported by ambulance to the hospital earlier today. I just got this statement from her spokesperson, Tricia McLaughlin, and it reads, Secretary Noem had an allergic reaction today. She was transported to the hospital out of an abundance of caution. She's alert and recovering. By all accounts, the secretary appears to be stable, but we're trying to get more information about what the allergic reaction was to and the severity. Good news, she appears to be okay and is talking to her staff, David.
Pierre Thomas live in Washington. Pierre, thank you. Now to the dramatic scene in New York City. A candidate for mayor detained by ICE agents inside immigration court. Agents handcuffing him and taking him away. Here's Aaron Katursky.
You have a judicial warrant.
Tonight, 1 week before the primary in the race for New York City's mayor, the dramatic scene involving one of the candidates inside immigration court.
Where is it?
ICE agents pulling Brad Lander, an elected official and Democratic candidate for mayor, through a hallway, pushing him against the wall, locking him in handcuffs.
You don't have authority to arrest U.S. citizens. Sir, you don't have the authority to arrest U.S. citizens. I'm not obstructing. I'm standing right here in the hallway. I asked to see the judicial warrant.
Lander had linked arms with a migrant officers were trying to arrest, prying the two men apart.
No!
Homeland Security officials accused Lander of assault and impeding a federal officer. Federal prosecutors said they're investigating, but late today, Lander walking out free.
ICE said you assaulted an officer.
I mean, you guys all saw it on video, so you know exactly what happened. And I think probably on advice of counsel, I will not characterize the events. But I certainly did not assault an officer.
It comes days after a United States senator was detained in California.
Hands up, hands up. I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the secretary.
Also, I want to talk.
Senator Alex Padilla forcibly removed from a press conference as he tried to ask Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem about ICE arrests in Los Angeles. Today, Padilla emotional.
I was forced to the ground.
In his first speech on the Senate floor and issuing this warning.
What's happening is not just a threat to California, it's a threat to everyone in every state.
These public officials are being detained, David, during an uptick in ICE arrests outside immigration courtrooms around the country. David?
Aaron Katursky with us again tonight. Aaron, thank you. Next tonight, more than 100 million Americans on alert for severe storms as a powerful system moves through the middle of the country and then right into the Northeast. At least 19 reported tornadoes across 3 states already. Dangerous storms again after dark. 100-mile-an-hour straight-line winds in Wichita. And in West Virginia tonight, the toll now rising from devastating floods there. Now 7 dead, with more rain now on the way. Here's Chief Meteorologist Ginger Z tonight.
Tonight, powerful storms threatening millions after a tornado outbreak across the plains. 100-mile-per-hour straight-line winds slamming parts of Kansas this morning. Last night, gigantic textbook tornadoes tearing across miles of fields and farms. At least 19 reported across Nebraska, Colorado, and Minnesota. Thankfully, no injuries and minimal damage, but it shows what this system can do as it pushes east. Meanwhile, in West Virginia, where a month's worth of rain fell in just 30 minutes this weekend, homes and vehicles washed away. Officials announcing a 7th death.
This flood I've never seen in devastation is like we have.
David Patterson is the chief of Triadelphia's volunteer fire department.
We have had more structures disappear, gone. People's houses are missing, mobile homes, people were in them. 5 of the 7 people killed lived in this town, including 19-year-old Travis Creighton. His sister, Shelby, telling ABC he was so funny, full of life, and had a very big heart.
So let's bring in Ginger Z. I know you're tracking these systems as they're on the move yet again tonight, Ginger.
Yes, and the one that we'll look at first, David, is the same one that hit over the weekend. It's been really slow to move. It was stationary, and then now it's finally lifting through, but still leaving flood watches for the entire state of West Virginia through tonight. State College down to Roanoke, Virginia, all could see locally up to 5 inches with those training storms. Then the new storm, the one that produced those tornadoes. Already severe thunderstorm watches in the high plains. Denver's also included, parts of Wyoming. Tornado watch. Wichita down through northern Oklahoma and into the panhandle of Texas. Now let's time it out, because it's not just the tornadoes we've already seen, 4 reported so far, but this damaging and destructive wind that will power through after the sun sets. David, that's a level 4 out of 5 tonight. Tomorrow it's a level 3 out of 5, and then the East Coast gets it on Thursday, David.
All right, another unsettling night ahead, Ginger. We'll see you first thing in the morning on GMA. Thank you. Next tonight here, we have new reporting on that suspect who showed up at the door, authorities say, in a realistic latex mask, disguised as an officer, shooting lawmakers. Alleged gunman Vance Bolter, a husband and father, and what we now know. And tonight, the Utah senator deleting his posts now after what he said after those lawmakers were targeted and shot. Here's Faith Abube.
This is surveillance image of the man who police say wore a realistic latex mask and is responsible for the politically motivated assassination of former State House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark and their beloved family dog Gilbert. The suspect also shooting State Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette. They're recovering from gunshot wounds. Authorities say 57-year-old Vance Bolter had a hit list of at least 45 state and federal elected officials, most or all Democrats, and allegedly stalked and surveilled those on the list like prey. Tonight, members of Congress receiving a security briefing, pushing for improved protection and for the divisive political rhetoric on all sides to be toned down. Democrats and Republicans saying it's too much. A bipartisan group of lawmakers calling out Utah Senator Mike Lee over his social media post from Sunday, appearing to mock the assassination, posting an image of the suspect in that latex mask before police say he killed Melissa Hortman and her husband. Senator Mike Lee writing, "This is what happens when Marxists don't get their way," and saying nightmare on Wall Street, a reference to the state's governor, Tim Walz.
Do you stand by the post that you made on X?
Senator Lee has since deleted the post. Senator Tina Smith of Minnesota confronting Lee about the images he posted of the suspect.
I wanted him to know about the consequence of his words. And I went to him and I said, you know, your message on social media showed the image of the man who killed my friend, potentially minutes before that happened.
And tonight, the community not only remembering the Hortmans, but also what they did for service dogs. Their dog Gilbert, a 4-year-old golden retriever, was shot by the suspect. The family, longtime volunteers of the nonprofit Helping Paws, helping train service dogs for years, adopting Gilbert from the program during the pandemic.
Their bond was deeper than most pet owners.
The Hortmans were survived by 2 children who say their parents left behind an incredible legacy of dedication to this community. And David, that community will honor them right here at the state capitol with a vigil tomorrow night. Yeah. David.
Just a horrible story all the way around. So glad you pointed out what they did for service dogs in that community as well. Faith, thank you. Next tonight here in Boston, the questions from the jury during deliberations in the Karen Reed murder trial, accused of killing her Boston police officer boyfriend. What the jury's questions could signal on this 3rd day of deliberations now. Matt Gutman following the trial.
On the 3rd day of deliberations in the murder retrial of Karen Reed, accused of ramming her SUV into her Boston police officer boyfriend, the jury's signaling their confusion about jury instructions, leaving many searching for clues in the questions they're asking.
We received a question from the jurors If we find not guilty on 2 charges but can't agree on 1 charge, is it a hung jury on all 3 charges or just 1 charge?
Reed is facing 3 charges: second-degree murder, vehicular manslaughter while under the influence of alcohol, and leaving the scene of an accident causing death. The judge trying to answer their question.
We don't answer theoretical questions. I tell the jurors that they're not to be concerned with the consequences of their verdict, and that's exactly what they're doing here.
The case against Reed has gripped the nation and divided the Boston area, and launched a legion of supporters. Hundreds of them right there, dressed in pink, outside the courtroom. Earlier, the jury asking about the charge of operating under the influence, and whether the video clips of Reed's television interviews, including with ABC's 2020, can be used as evidence.
When you walked out of the bar, how many drinks had you had?
I had probably about 4, and not 4 that I completed either. I didn't drink maybe more than a few sips at the waterfall.
And 4 drinks you felt fine to drive?
Yep.
And Dave, the question from the jury today, eerily similar to the issues grappled with by the jury in that first trial, leading to concern that we might have another deadlocked jury here. They're back at it tomorrow, David.
Matt Gutman following this trial from the start for us. Matt, thank you. When we come back here tonight, you'll see the disturbing images. Police are now searching for a hit-and-run driver, images of the suspect driving right into people in the street. Also ahead, the major news tonight involving Tom Cruise and Dolly Parton. And just in this evening, remembering a beloved host from the Food Network, what we've learned about her passing. She was just 55 years old. In a moment here. Tonight, police in Los Angeles are searching for a hit-and-run driver accused of plowing through a crowd during a No King's Day protest there. About 50 people protesting across an intersection on Sunday. Witnesses say that driver there plowed through. A woman was struck. They say she was on the hood and then fell to the street. Paramedics treating her right there at the scene, rushing her to the hospital. She is expected to recover. To the food you eat tonight, and a major move by one of the largest food companies in the country. Kraft Heinz, behind the iconic brands Jell-O, Kool-Aid, and Crystal Light, among others, says it will eliminate all artificial food dyes over the next 2 years. It comes after DHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. revealed a plan to phase out 8 food dyes from the nation's food supply. When we come back here tonight, the developing headline, the beloved chef who has died at just 55 years old. We learned late today that Food Network chef Anne Burrell has died at her home in Brooklyn. The longtime host of Worst Cooks in America, fans drawn to her signature laugh and kitchen skills. Her family tonight calling her a beloved wife, sister, daughter, stepmother, and friend. Her smile lit up every room. Anne Burrell was 55, no word on a cause of death. When we come back tonight, why Tom Cruise and Dolly Parton are both in the news tonight, and this is big. Finally tonight, Dolly Parton, Tom Cruise, and finally, an Oscar. Tonight here, the new honor for 2 of America's most iconic performers. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences announcing Tom Cruise and Dolly Parton will both receive honorary career Oscars after decades of work. Neither has ever won an Oscar before. Tom Cruise has been nominated for 4 Academy Awards over the years, most recently as a producer for Top Gun Maverick.
Show me what you're made of.
36 years after starring in the original.
I feel the need for speed.
He was nominated for Best Actor in Born on the 4th of July in 1990. Nominated for Jerry Maguire in 1997. Nominated for Best Supporting Actor in Magnolia in 2000.
No! You will not take...
Tonight, the Academy saying Tom Cruise will now be honored. And Dolly Parton will receive an Oscar, too. The Jean Hersholt Humanitarian Award for her, quote, unwavering dedication to charitable efforts. The icon starred in 9 to 5 and Steel Magnolias, and those scenes from 9 to 5, iconic.
I never thought I'd live to see the day I'd say this about another human being, but you are evil. That's right, evil to the core.
She earned an Oscar nomination for that movie for Best Original Song. And again in 2006 for her song Travelin' Through from Transamerica.
I'm just traveling, I'm just traveling through.
Also earning career Oscars, actress, choreographer, and producer Debbie Allen, and production designer Wynn Thomas. Tonight, the 4 legends who will receive their Oscars this November at the Academy's Governors Awards. The honor is well deserved. I'm David Muir. I'll see you right back here tomorrow night from all of us here. Good night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.